Yo, at the beginning of March, I'd read 33% of my manga collection. The number is slowly going up, not as fast as I'd like it to, but this month I'd read 58 volumes in total. I just want to start off with the 5 new series that I started to read last month. First being Succubus and Hitman. I spoke about this in my manga haul. It's a dark supernatural series set in the real world. There's a lot of shooting, killing, blood and guts everywhere, so it's pretty brutal. It's a rescue mission / revenge story with Shoya, who has to hunt down a small group of people who had kidnapped his family. He goes around investigating and killing Yakuza members, and the succubus Armelina eats their souls. In return, she levels up Shoya's abilities like passive healing and damage reduction. A bit of mystery is thrown in, but really, it's not for the faint-hearted. One of the Yakuza members mentions that he can't get aroused unless he's abusing his 12-year-old daughter, which is a little bit uncomfortable to read, and there are some other panels that are quite uncomfortable to look on, but other than that, it's pretty enjoyable. Another series, this time an adventure fantasy. Sanko is a young boy who's out traveling through space collecting bones, and he uses the bones as currency to upgrade his ship and purchase new weapons. He comes across bones in his journey, and if he can't find any, he just kills the people that are after him. It is prophesied that if you obtain Sanko's bones, you will be granted any one wish. So he spends a lot of time killing the people that are after him. For me, it's the comedy that really makes it enjoyable to read. The contrast between the death scenes and the comedic moments blends so perfectly. There's a lot more to Sanko's adventure, but I don't really want to spoil too much. If you're a fan of Hayashida's previous works, then I think you'll definitely enjoy Dark. And continuing with the dark tone, I didn't really have any expectations for this one. I try and stay away from hype as much as I can, and I try not to believe it. I don't like to let people persuade me too much, but I don't think Chainsaw Man needs much introduction. It's a demon series where the main character Denji can transform between human and demon. He's taken in by the Devil Hunters, a group of people who hunt devils and protect society. Similar premise to other demon series. For me, it was the lovable characters, specifically Denji and Power, are a constant fuel of comedic energy, and their idiocy rubs off on everyone. Aki, Himeno, and Kobeni, they just infect everybody. And then you have the alluring Makima, who gives off this sexy, evil vibe, and you just want to know more about her. A lot of shonen series have a turning point where things get intense, stakes are a lot higher, and the mystery starts to unfold. But it's because it's so short that I think it escalates so quickly. Now, I think the hype is real. It is as good as everyone says it is, if not better. I've only read the first 9 volumes. I'm waiting for the last 2 volumes to come out physically before I read them. Though you can just read it on the Shonen Jump app. And then I read Kaiju number 8. Instead of demons, we have Kaiju, and similar to Chainsaw Man and everyone else who kind of came before him, Kafka Hibino houses the power to turn into a Kaiju. But he has to keep it a secret from everyone. He's also a lot older than other shonen protagonists, so it's interesting how he interacts with the younger characters. This one is action-packed, the art is really cool. I think I relate to this one because the main character is so old, much like me. I've spoken about this one already. It's really good. I think everyone should pick it up. And yeah, it's just great. Drifting Dragons was recommended to me by Born Hitman 47. Now, I was looking forward to this one because of the art and dragons, but I haven't actually read many pure fantasy series outside of power fantasies and isekai. It follows a group of dragon hunters as they travel through the skies looking for dragons. Every chapter starts with finding a dragon, killing the dragon, and then harvesting its body. No part is wasted, whether it's the meat, food, or oil to use in medicine. I really enjoyed the latter parts of the chapters because they show the cultural side behind killing the dragons through cooking or historical tapestries. There's also a list of ingredients at the end of the chapter if you want to try cook the food yourself, not that dragon meat is easy to come by. The crew are also slowly introduced each chapter. All are lovable. My favorite is Vanny. I just love a strong, dependable woman. I'll definitely continue reading this one. Sometimes I just feel a little bit sad for the dragons being killed off all the time. I read a couple of catch-up volumes. One Punch Man Volume 21 continues the Hero Association arc, which is kind of picking up speed now. Saitama doesn't make an appearance here, which is pretty interesting because it allows some of the other characters to take more of a spotlight. I don't particularly like the personality of Flashy Flash, but I really enjoyed his fight with Tempest and Hellfire. Overall, the volume was okay. And I also caught up with my monthly read for Vinland Saga Volume 3. Askeladd is such a great antagonist and protagonist all at the same time. He's really taken the forefront of the series. He's kind of like the main character now, and Thorfinn's just chilling in the background. He's slowly kind of manipulating Canute into what he needs him to do. And I think that's kind of the exciting part. He's conniving, he's scheming, and it really makes it interesting. Every page is just flip, 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 flip. I just want to know what happens next. And as always, there's a lot of action. You know, Thorkel just comes in swinging with these big axes and his big chin and gives the series like a lot of comic relief, which I really enjoy. I then read 2 series in its entirety. The first being Fullmetal Alchemist. Now, this is the 3rd time that I've read the series. I've watched the anime a couple of times, and I can honestly say that I've enjoyed every time that I've read it. I don't think I could say one negative thing about it. Edward and Alphonse's quest to obtain their original bodies is gripping. Their quest makes for a great adventure series. It's shonen, so though it does hit sometimes on the darker moments, for the most part it's pretty fun, light-hearted and action-packed. Arakawa's art is perfect, from her action sequences and intimidating women to her emotional expressions and low-res character designs. What I think makes this an easy read is its pacing. Once the Elric brothers reach their destination, you're off to the next lead. They never linger too long in one place, keeping the narrative moving, and at the same time you're slowly introduced to a lot of the characters that pretty much are a mainstay in the series. They pop in and out of the story, living their own lives in the background, and when they come back in, they always have a huge impact. The dialogue can get a little heavy at times, but I really think that just deepens the story. It's number 6 on my anime list for best manga of all time, as well as number 1 for best anime, so that kind of speaks volumes, but I guess it's up for the debate, but I don't think I'll go against the grain. And lastly, I read Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, and Kingdom Hearts 2, based on the video game series of the same name. It follows Sora and his quest to find his friends Riku and Kairi, who have disappeared from his island. He is joined by Disney's Donald and Goofy, who are also looking for Mickey Mouse, who's a king in this series. And there's a bunch of Final Fantasy characters involved as well. It sounds really strange, but it strangely works really, really well. They travel to Disney worlds, interacting with the world's characters like Hercules, Peter Pan, Mulan. And along the way, they have to fight against these shadow creatures called Heartless, who steal people's hearts. Though a search and rescue mission throughout Kingdom Hearts, the narrative doesn't really change until Chain of Memories. A group known as Organization 13 is introduced, and they become the main antagonists of the series. Now, I mentioned in my last video that the series sometimes goes into more detail compared to the games. Characters will get more of a backstory, and lore is touched upon in further depth, making the story a little more cohesive than the games at times. That being said, some of the plot points are skimmed over and only really make sense if you have the knowledge from the games. The two ultimately tell the same story but are slightly different. The games are a cinematic experience, and defeating a boss that takes you 50 tries, 3 hours to defeat, kind of builds more of a connection, whilst in the manga he's defeated in a couple of pages, and sometimes it just doesn't have that impact. The worlds as well are not really explored in much detail in the manga, whilst in the video game you can spend hours and hours and constantly going back to the worlds, and you explore a lot more than what you do in the books. If you're a die-hard Kingdom Hearts fan, I would say this is a must-read. If you enjoy Disney or Final Fantasy, again, I would say this is pretty good. And if you're just looking for a nice, light-hearted adventure series that's not really taking itself too seriously, I'd say give it a shot. And that is it. That brings me up to 224 volumes total read, which is 38% of my total collection, which is a plus 5%, which is good. It's slowly going up. Let me know if you read anything interesting during March, and yeah, I will see you next time.